What is up, SmackNPie here, and welcome back to another Dark Deception Chapter 4 video, part 2 of our location theory series. This will be updated as we move forward and learn about the locations in Chapter 4. Also, what about Spooky Jumpscare Mansion? I feel like there's an audience there for that. Let me know about it now, without wasting any more time. Let's begin. Now, Mama Bear and Tigger Teddy is the duo that'll probably have us all raging and some even quitting the game because of the scariness, and probably because of the difficulty. This duo has a little material to work with, kind of like nurses, but unlike nurses, theirs is really hard to figure out what exactly you're gonna get from them when it comes to their level. All we have to work with is Mama Bear and Tigger Teddy's name, their character models, soundtrack with interesting titles, and that's about it. In the last video, I mentioned how it is difficult for me to theorize this, and that I needed time. But I also said that there were some crazy wild theories going around that speculates something major about this level. We started from this teaser right here, months ago. Everyone was so sure that it'll be this level, this location, but upon new release of soundtracks, entire community turned into frenzy mode because they went from factory location to graveyard. Wait, what? Now, thanks to you guys, I researched a little bit and found out that due to soundtracks and their titles, the new ones, the assumption was made that it'll be focusing its attention to dead and burial, hence symmetry came in, which, not gonna lie, is a strong candidate. Before we get our horses too high, let's take some steps back and figure out all of the possibilities, eliminate as many as possible, and see what exactly it'll leave us with. One more thing, the materials we will be working with will be straight from Glowstick Entertainment themselves and based upon their history and connections to previous chapters. We'll figure out what we can work with and where it leads. Okay, so before we get to the decoding, I'll put the link of the last video in the card so you can check it out, but I left Mama Bear location up for grabs, and so many of you came forward with your theories, and I am going to use your theories and add mine to it just to see what we can get. It'll truly be a community effort. Okay, firstly, let's start with something I've seen that surprised me that it's even a thing to begin with. We're gonna start with forest. Now look, it is not a bad theory, it could end up happening. However, there are some holes that could debunk this. Firstly, if we are so keen on using OSTs and their titles, let's go all the way back to Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Now let's connect the dots here. Chapter 2's first level was a school, so there must be a hint somewhere for the school in the soundtracks, right? There was. One of the first OSTs for Agatha level blatantly said on the title, "Last day of school." This is big, like outright throwing entire location out there. School was the location for the level. Then what about Deadly Decadence, you may ask? Well, it was there too. One of the soundtracks for Gold Watchers said, and I quote, "Mind your manners," with O, not E. Yes, I am not joking. It says openly and clearly, manor. And where the level took place? You guessed it, inside and outside of the manor. But let's go even more further for Chapter 3's second level. It says in the title, Funhouse Folly, and we get the same OST in a place it was meant and promised for, a fun house. Now for sewers it was a bit roughed, but it was up there, just needed some time and polishing for the theories, but the pattern was clear. Every time in these OSTs there's a small hint to explain or help us where the level is taking place. Now let's check that with Chapter 4, specifically Mama Bear's OST. They are really fascinating. The ones that made me jump specifically was Maternal Instinct and, you guessed it, Deliverance. These two justify the voice reveal teaser from Mama Bear so much, and there's so many possibilities here. Keep an eye on the duration of each soundtracks as well. The longer and intense the soundtrack is means it'll play when we are fighting the monster or boss fight or just running away simply while they're chasing us. The smaller runs, and usually less extreme, represents when we are roaming around getting soul shards so they can go in a loop. The medium ones usually happens either when the zone changes or pre-post cutscenes or something like that, you know, the unusual stuff. Both Maternal Instinct and Deliverance has the most duration or runtime in all of this level's soundtracks, 2 minutes 28 seconds and 2 minutes 10 seconds. The maximum one belongs to Malek's OST's Repercussions, which is a whole lot another mess in and of itself, but notice the rest of the themes. 1 minute 32 seconds, 1 minute 37 seconds, and barely 2 minutes. Now what I'm trying to get at here, let me show you. In Deadly Decadence, when an enemy is in very close range of you, or when you know it's time to run run or get away from this specific area, the soundtrack titled Mind Your Manners, the one that hinted the location in the first place, came into play. Same with Funhouse. When you're in that ride, which was a major part of the level, it was a transition part from one zone to another. The soundtrack of Funhouse Folly played. So in that order, we should expect technically kind of similarities for chapter 4. So now that we cleared this part, let's go into a bit more details here. Firstly, maternal instinct. It's common and understandable how people wouldn't vocalize this title in particular. I mean, after all, voice reveal made it clear that Mama Bear is mother. She is a mother and she knows best. So I wouldn't want to debate on that. But what is maternal instinct? Now, if you Google it, there are 3 definitions. All of them explains the story in this character very well. Quote, relating to a mother, especially during pregnancy or shortly after childbirth, or the feeling typically of a caring mother, motherly. And finally, quote, related through the mother's side of the family. It is quite common that right after the birth, mothers usually enter survival mode for their kids, giving absolutely 110% priority to them. For a small example, not sleeping well or at all so that they can spend each and every single second of their lives with their newly born child. It's common, it's nothing new, so the obsessive behavior of doing anything for the kid is understandable. Even one's suffering, no, that doesn't deserve the word even, one's own suffering, sure, but these obsessions goes as far as to even others' suffering, making sure the child is protected regardless of the consequences. Now, I'm not a mother, but these are the studies I've conducted personally through my family and online studies, so if anyone out there knows better on this subject, please do comment. I would love to hear your thoughts and insight on this. Anyways, we established that part, the mother part, boss fight with that theme now makes more sense, isn't it? But the second one is quite interesting, deliverance. Now, I didn't talk about pregnancy in specific because that is quite a different matter for Doug and his family. So coming back to the topic at hand, deliverance means, quote, the action of being rescued or set free. That is the generic term, but if you search it from biblical perspective, where this game seems to take a lot of references, it means, and this is very interesting, quote, if we are delivering something like flowers to a loved one, we are taking something from one location to another. That means we take possession of it and take it to another place. If you buy something at the store, we take possession of it and take it home because we own it. We have paid a price for it and bought it and it belongs to us. In other words, we wanted the ring piece, we got it, and now we're leaving, hence set free comes in. But moreover, we paid a price for it, a heavy one, getting all the soul shards, all the pain, suffering, agony the player had to go through. Yeah, it all makes sense now. So if you still think a mother would take her child after all that mess to some kind of forest to play and that child gets lost, I'm talking from a gameplay perspective. Imagine this, Trigger Teddy's chasing you in a forest. It's even remotely out of the place. Those two doesn't go together, but the story could end up making sense, hence end up happening. But no, from all the evidence, it's unlikely. Let's not forget the voice reveal. In it, there are several keywords that could help us big time. Guest, mess, from it is a bit of a mess right now, I hope you won't judge, to greet, companion, and most important out of them all, babies and play. These are the keywords that show specifically what this level's theme and its focus. Not to mention both Trigger Teddy's and Mama Bear wear skin type masks, human type masks, like they kill and then wear their mask, I don't know. Their inner form is no thank you. Now we can already split the level into 2 halves based on what we just learned. Firstly, Zone 1 could comprise of guest, greet, and mess. Remember, that place is a mess. Don't judge part. Yeah, so we got ourselves a place. We walk into that place area. The place is a mess. There's a mother and her child, or babies, apparently, and most importantly, we are welcomed. That's most important. Now, if you are naive, you would say, huh, it is a giant home since she's greeting us. No. We're already moved past that territory. Nah. Manor, mansion, we moved on from that a long time ago. No way. But since I was researching this, I stumbled upon some comments from the last video. Now, I can't credit someone specific because there were so many of you that commented this theory in specific, but it is not my theory. I would like to point out this was your theory, SmackNPie. So just comment down below which one you said, because I know there were plenty of you, and I would highlight you guys. So you guys suggested that it could be a daycare center. So as a theorist, I went to my local daycare center to see how big of a place it is, how many shards per room we can have. Now, story-wise, keywords we just pulled out, it makes sense. It's a solid case here. Daycare center could be our key, and for your information, it also matches with the story. Tammy, after that report from Dr. Angela, wasn't getting better, so Doug, who wanted to get rid of her, couldn't just hand her to her mother. She was also a mental patient. So without getting in legal trouble, he admitted her in daycare center center. Now, what happens afterwards is irrelevant, because if it is a daycare, we could have a solid file that we just solved, except it has some holes as well. Remember, when I said I checked my local daycare, even city's biggest center, yeah, that place is a mess, sure, but not a good one. It's not even playable, even though the keywords babies and play make so much sense here. There's just not enough space to play around. But this is glow-stick entertainment we're talking about. If they can make schools and hotels playable, mind you, 3-star hotels playable, they can make this as work as well. So if we establish Zone 1 as daycare or whatever, Zone 2 could start your case of graveyard symmetry, because the titles of Better Off Dead and What Lies Beneath, especially after what we just experienced in the center, no thanks, sir. Like I said, solid cases for both, but remember, Vince doesn't want surprises to unfold, and it is very likely they've learned from the last time of spoiling and would rather have new locations without giving any hints whatsoever than have community figuring out what it is before it even releases. So I'm gonna go on a limb here and agree with some of you for now. Graveyard and a place where kids play, such as daycare center, it doesn't need to be a daycare center or something relevant to that. It is a solid candidate for now, but I'm not very happy about it. So the toy factory and toy store still is on the table. So here's what we're gonna do. Zone 1, daycare or a place that resembles a place where babies, so many of them, play with companions, and Zone 2 takes it a bit more serious. Maybe outside, maybe daycare is around the graveyard, because remember and understand what daycare centers are in the first place. I'm not trying to depress you, just telling the dark reality of this world, and it is a dark game indeed. So if you want to talk about your problems, talk to someone, get some help. But let's briefly see other contenders. Toy factory, toy store, but that would take away the mall part from mannequins, the store part specifically, so let's hold on that. We also have dollhouse, but that's kind of done already. I'm not sure they would want to do that again, but dollhouse does actually make a lot of sense for this level to happen in a cave. I now understand why, because we had a game a long time ago where there was this teddy bear and this cave. It makes sense. It kind of gameplay technically wise, it makes sense, but I want to rule out the possibility considering the fact that we know very little, and that's what I love about Dark Deception. So until any new teasers or trailers, which I'm warning you right now, it'll change. We're gonna have to settle with these locations. They're pretty solid cases, hence I'm closing the file on this one for now, until final trailer or if they themselves confirm or release anything. But with that being said, that'll wrap up this video and theory of Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy and their location. Make sure to send me your theories and credits to a few of you who started the daycare theories. Shout out to you guys. Also subscribe right now to become an official member of SmackNPie. Help me get to 25,000 subscribers. Spooky Jumpscare Mansion, Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy in the Dark Revival. So many games coming soon, guys. I'll see you soon. Until then, take care and peace.